The biggest event in Rise of Kingdoms history, Commander Swap event, should be live when you are watching this video, or it will be live in a few hours. And after watching this video, you will know exactly which commanders that you should use your swaps for. Now, I'm not going to get into event details because a couple hours ago, OmniArc made a very nice video with the latest updates because devs released a Q&A regarding the Commander Swap event. So if you want to learn the details, how this event is going to work, you can certainly go ahead and check that video. But what we're going to do is this. Yes, later in the video, I will give you a quote-unquote universal priority list for every single troop type, which commanders that you should prioritize for your swaps. But let's be honest, everyone's accounts are different. We have different commander investments. For certain troop types, we have way better equipment compared to other ones. So since everyone's account is different, those universal lists, yes, to an extent, they are true, and I will show you that. However, I am going to walk you through my whole thought process, what I'm going to do with the swap event, which commanders that I'm going to swap for my account, and we are going to do it step by step. So what you can do is you can implement this, you can follow these exact steps to figure out which commanders that you should use your swaps for. So without further ado, let's start with step number 1.
Spartan! What is your profession?
Alright, so the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to go to this tier maker website, because when you visualize things, when they're in front of you, it is way easier to decide and just play around. So you can either Google it, or I will have a link in the description to make it more convenient for you. Go to this website, go to this exact tier list, and start putting all your marches. These are the ones that I have on my quote-unquote dead account, right? This is my best 5 marches. For infantry, 2 marches we have Guan CPO, Luce Alex, 2 cavalry, Nevsky John, Hokubing William, and 1 archer, and my god, it is outdated because I have not been playing on this account for like a year. That is Boudica and YSG. Now, before we get into commander details, step number 1 is determining how many marches that you should be using in the field. Because yes, on paper, theoretically, I can use 5 marches. I can even use 6 marches. Like I can put an Assault Cicada into this mix because I do have both of them maxed. But in reality, how many marches I should be running? Well, in every single season of Conquest, what I know is based on my own activity and spending level, in a reasonable time, I can unlock my 6th march. But being able to unlock your 6th march doesn't mean that you should run 6 or even 5 marches, because this is the situation that I always find myself in. If I have my 6th march unlocked, at least one of my marches is either in a rally or garrison, and one of them is just grabbing a rune, which left me with 4 marches in total. If I was able to unlock my 7th march in a reasonable time, because if you unlock it at the end of the KVK, it doesn't even matter, right? So I cannot do that. I'm not that type of a spender. So since I can only unlock 6 marches, and as I said, 2 of them are occupied, the best thing, the most logical thing for me to do is to keep playing or focusing on 4 marches instead of 5. So the first step, the step number 1, is deciding how many marches that you should be running. As you can see, I need to get rid of from one of my marches. And the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to analyze which march we should get rid of. If we only take a look at the commanders, I would say the weakest one has to be Boudica and YSG. But then the problem with that plan is this is my only archer march. And guess what? I do already have like some sort of an archer gear. It's not perfect, but it is usable. And also I do have really decent armaments for my archers. So if I get rid of my archers, all the equipment and all those armaments will be wasted. So what is my next best option? Well, I think I only have one more option anyways, and that is instead of using 2 infantry marches, merging those 2 marches and going down to 1 infantry march only. Because this will leave us with 1 infantry, 2 cavalry, and 1 archers, and that is exactly 4 marches in total. You let me know in the comment section down below, because I might be wrong about it, but I think the best thing that we can do is benching Guan and Alex and using CPO with Luce as our single infantry march. And after deciding how many marches that we are going to use and which commanders that we are going to use for those marches, the next thing that we need to do is finding the weak link. Which commanders are the weakest links in this configuration? If we can determine this, we can find out our best swaps. Well, I think that answer is quite simple. Our archer march is pretty weak, and between my infantry and 2 cavalries, I think the weakest commander hands down is William. So my archer march and William are my weakest links. And good news, I can fix my 2nd cavalry march, which does have William, by simply swapping for King Arthur. Arthur is going to be most likely one of the best commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, so obviously one of my swaps will go for King Arthur. you have to get him. Maybe if you have not invested on Liu Che yet and you do have a good commander to pair with Liu Che, that could be Alexander the Great, that could be Scipio Prime. We don't know yet because we have not used Arthur in the actual game, but we know for a fact that Liu Che is absolutely one of the best commanders in the game, so you have to get him. So maybe that could be the only scenario if you're going to go for one swap only. So if you're not going to buy your second swap chance with, like, I think it was 50 bucks, the only scenario that you don't swap for King Arthur could be swapping for Liu Che. But other than that, I think King Arthur is superb. We can simply get rid of William, put King Arthur, and we can use Nevsky John, Huo, and King Arthur, and I think that is an incredible 2 cavalry march configuration. Now, the next thing was fixing our archer march because it is outdated, it is not meta, we need to fix it. So the next question becomes, can I fix this march with one swap only? The answer is actually no, because the best archer march in the game right now, obviously with these swap events, you want to get the best of the best, and the best archer march right now is Zhuge Liang with Hermann, and I don't have both of them. So technically, I cannot fix my archer march with one swap only. So what should I do? Now here, our commander sculptures comes into the play. Because here's the thing, if I didn't have any sculptures whatsoever, what I would do is, even though I think Zhuge Liang is a crazy commander, he doesn't work with YSG well because they're just so slow, they die so fast. What I would do is I would swap for Hermann and play with Hermann YSG March. Because yes, maybe this is not a pairing that you guys are used to seeing, but this is actually a really good pairing because YSG with triple relic is pretty decent, and Hermann with his support silent tree and with his skills provides exactly what YSG is missing, which is some tankiness plus mobility, the march speed, and Hermann can provide both of them. If you are wondering how Hermann can provide the tankiness and the march speed, it's the talent tree. Since he does have support talent tree, he gets talents like reduced skill damage, etc. It is definitely more tankier than the skill talent tree, which is what you get with Zhuge Liang. So Hermann YSG is certainly a march that is pretty decent. But the problem is, here we are not getting the best march, right? And that's why I said here our sculptures comes into the play. Because if you do have good amount of sculptures, you don't have to have like 500, 600. If you do have 390 sculptures like I do right now, the best thing that I can do is get rid of YSG, do not swap for Hermann, instead swap for Zhuge Liang and use Hermann with a 5551 skill configuration. Because between ZL and Hermann, 5551 Hermann is definitely a great love investment. Of course, eventually, it is not like Joan of Arc love investment, because in my opinion, when you get your Joan of Arc to 5515 configuration, you can simply keep using her as it is. You don't need to invest any sculptures until you do have some like bunch of extra sculptures in your inventory. But Hermann, yes, you do want to expertise him at some point, but it is not crucial. His expertise, let's say, is not as important as, for example, Liu Che's expertise, right? Yes, you want to get it at some point, as I said, but it is not mandatory to get it as soon as possible. So since I do have sculptures, instead of going for Hermann and YSG and using my swap chance on Hermann, I'm going to use it on Zhuge Liang, and I'm going to use my extra sculptures to low invest on Hermann. So it's going to be like a midterm project. On the upcoming KBK, we will use Hermann with 5551 and Zhuge Liang expertise with, of course, the swap event. And on the next KBK, we can use both expertise, ZL and Hermann march. This is my thought process of deciding which commanders that I should swap for. First, we determined how many marches realistically, how many marches we should be running, because as I said, being able to unlock certain number of marches, let's say 6 or 7 marches, doesn't mean that you should be using that number of marches on the field. You then need to be looking at your equipment and armaments. I'm running 4 marches. I don't have to have perfect equipment. I don't have to have perfect armament because I'm not in an Imperium Kingdom. So not everyone that I come up against on the field are going to have absolutely best gear, best armaments, and top technology. No, we don't have to worry about that. So I just need good enough equipment and good enough armaments. And do I have it for all my 4 marches? Yes, I do. So this is the number of marches that I'm going to use. And then what we did is we determined the weak links. First, we fixed the weak link that could be fixed with one swap only, and then based on the number of sculptures that we have, we decided our second swap. As I said, if I had no sculptures at all for the next KBK, because we are going to enter the KBK soon, I would just swap for Hermann, use Hermann YSG for 1 KBK, pour some sculptures for Zhuge Liang, and on the next KBK, I could invest on him and start using ZL and Hermann. But since I did have good amount of sculptures, and also Hermann is really good as a 5551, which is only 390 sculpture cost, I am going to swap for Zhuge Liang and use him with low investment Herman, and this is going to be my 4-march configuration on the next KVK. And now I'm going to show you the universal commander swap priority list that you can take a look at. We have infantry, cavalry, and archers. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Siege did talk about, the best siege commanders in the game right now, so I have not included the siege. You can check out his videos. But for infantry, cavalry, and archers, shout out to Fahad Sensei. That is an infographic that he created. And we will only discuss the top 2s from each troop type because for the majority of players, these are going to be the commanders that you should be swapping for. For infantry, it's Liu Che and Scipio. Cavalry, Arthur and Hou Qiubing. And for archers, it is Zhuge Liang and Herman. And by looking at it, I guess we can say that this is our current Holy Trinity, which is the best match from each troop type. But if you do have, let's say, 5 of these commanders expertise, because you cannot have Arthur expertise, he's not in the game yet. And if you're going to go for 2 swaps, because if it's 1 swap only, go get Arthur, simple as that. But if it's 2 swaps, that means you're going to go up to 2 marches from a single troop type. And how you're going to decide it? Of course, you are not going to decide it. Your equipment and your armaments are going to decide it. You should be go for number 3 or number 4 in this list for the troop type that you have the best equipment and best armaments for your secondary march for that specific troop type. So I guess everything should be clear regarding which commanders that you should swap for in this upcoming swap event, or if it's live right now. At this moment, it is not. But I think in like 6 or 7 hours, it will be live. See you on the next one. Subscribe for more Rise of Kingdoms videos, and goodbye.